The Shelby Township Beautification Awards are awards that we give every year to help recognize the homes in our area that are very special in their landscaping look. Our criteria for the awards are a very spectacular look on the outside of your garden. We've been looking lately at the front a little more because that's the one you share with your neighbors the most. And we look for color, neatness, and really the involvement of the homeowner, their personal efforts. We enjoy the Beautification Awards as a committee because it's really fun and rewarding for us to see these beautiful homes. We go out together and we interview and talk to the gardeners, and we see their enthusiasm, what they've done and what they are trying to do. Also, we think it's a very important thing for the community because one of our jobs as a committee is to instill civic pride, and we think this award does that. It helps people recognize it's important to look good in your neighborhood and maybe encourage other people. Robert Baker is another winner of the Beautification Award for this year, but he is our Hall of Fame winner this year because he will have won the award 3 times. And we have loved his garden every time he's been awarded. He has a corner lot that looks like a park to us. It's beautiful around all the places, and he tries new things with flowers, and his trees are spectacular too.
The first year that I won, I was shocked, but to win it 3 times in a row was really like really unexpected. And me and my family are very, very proud to have won 3 in a row, and the hard work paid off. In my front yard, I have a mixture of perennials and annuals. I like to keep a lot of color in the front yard with some hanging baskets on the porch. That seems to add a bit of curb appeal to the front yard. At the side of my house, I like to keep it kind of like a park-like setting because there's a sidewalk right there, and you know, people walking down the sidewalk are able to look through and see the different plantings. And it's really nice when people actually stop on the sidewalk and tell me I have a really nice yard. It means a lot, it really does, after all the hard work and sweating and complaining. You know, it really makes a difference. It makes it all worth it. The backyard is like the crown jewel of my yard. This is where we feed the birds, and we get a lot of different kinds of birds and butterflies. I tend to focus most of my energy on the back because of that reason. That tree is a sycamore tree. You know, believe it or not, I always think of that tree as a focal point of the yard, and I have built a yard around it. It has like a majestic look with the way it peels its bark every year and, you know, sheds the bark. It's just a really, really nice old tree. I would say the best gardening tip is patience and get used to sweating, because you're going to do a lot of that if you want to have a nice landscape and nice flower gardens. It's a lot of work, but I got to tell you, when the yard is pruned up and the lawn is freshly cut, when you get up the next morning and you can hear the birds and the sun shining, it's the greatest thing there is. And I think it's really good for you physically and mentally to be able to experience something like that.
The Hendrix Home is another spectacular home for this year. It has a very beautiful, amazing front look with a curving walk with all kinds of color and different shrubs and flowers that lead up to the house. In the back, we're blown away with all her items involving the garden, but the beautiful flowers too.
I was so excited when I found out that I won. My husband brought me the envelope, and he says, "Wow, this looks pretty thick." And I opened it and I read it, and I was so excited, and I showed it to my husband and my kids now, and they were all excited too. So it was nice to win this year.
Come here, Corky. Get your snaggletooth in there. Come and look ahead.
My father was a landscaper, so I grew up with knowing the business, and my mother always loved the flower portion of planting and that. So I grew up with tending flowers from a young age and just kind of took that on myself. I just find it just relaxing, enjoyable, and I just kind of have just a gift for doing it, you would say. In the front yard, what I've done every year is I plant annuals around my the border outlining my house, and I use sun patience every year, and the fertilizer that I use helps them to grow really nice and big. So I do that, and as you come to the walkway into my house, there's another area where I do the annuals, the sun patience. So those get nice and big too. And then I have a courtyard where I do my potted plants as well. So I do that every year. And my perennials I have every year that I tend to, and they come up. My daylilies come up, so they're kind of in the background with my annuals in the front. And then along the side of my house, I have planted ornamental grass at one section, and the other section I have hydrangeas that are just popping up now in beautiful blooms. In the backyard, I have a fern garden area and hosta area where it's kind of shady. I don't have many annuals there. I do put an annual around the tree, kind of forms like a circular container around the tree. And I do sun patience there as well. And then in the back, you can see mostly my perennials and ornamental trees that I have. I don't usually do too many annual plants in the back just because I have dogs and I just don't want them running through it, and that they're usually good with the perennials and they don't get through that. But the perennials bloom in different times throughout the summer, so it's kind of nice to see the different colors coming at different times, different blooms and things like that. And then I just have more ornamental trees and bushes along the backside of my house as well. And then on my deck, I have potted plants of geraniums and things of that sort that we can enjoy when we're sitting in the gazebo. My number one gardening tip would be that you have to be out here every day or every other day to tend to your flowers in your garden, because there are weeds that pop up overnight, there's deadheading that needs to be done, there's yellow leaves that need to be picked off of geraniums and things like that. I also, well, this would be number two, I fertilize weekly, and I used to fertilize by attaching the fertilizer to the hose, but now I do it by watering can, and my blooms are so much bigger when I do it that way. It takes a lot of time to do it, but it's well worth it to do that. What I personally get from gardening is I have a sense of peace when I do it, a sense of accomplishment, and I can just kind of feel my dad's presence around me when I do all of this, and he's looking down and saying, "Nice job, looks beautiful." He loved the home that we got here just for the landscaping that we had alone. So I would say that's the joy that I get in it.
The Herring House was awarded this year. It looks spectacular from the front, a beautiful curb appeal, and stately and old plantings, beautiful shrubs, and the Herrings have been gardening there for a long time and have been doing beautiful work for a very long time at their property.
We were totally surprised. We just try to keep our home nice all the time, and all of a sudden instead of Beautification Award, this is okay, but there must be others. Well, it's just pride in the home itself. It's the property that we have. We love the neighborhood. My wife and I can't do it much anymore by ourselves, so we hired out. We have a landscaping service that takes care of it for us, cuts the grass and trims the bushes and does anything else that we need to do. I just supervise it a little bit.
Yeah, these flowers are our favorites right here, these hibiscus.
We used to do a lot of annuals. My wife and I both worked on it, but since we got older, we've gone to shrubs and perennials and have them maintained by someone for us. But we're proud of them, so we want them maintained and done right. We want our home to be a very nice place to be and take care of the people who have to look at it for us. We came here in January of '89, lived here 33 years. Have a great neighborhood, a very solid neighborhood. All the people around us have been here almost as long. We've got to have great friends. It's a great suburb. Shelby Township offers a lot to any community. It's good for the children. It's good for the old people like us. Things are convenient, and we just like it as a place to live. Most of the gardening tips I picked up from my father for over the years, and almost everything we did, if we planted it, we use a fertilizer called Milorganite because it's a non-acid type fertilizer, and everything seems to grow on that. Personal satisfaction that I live there, and my wife and I are proud of it. To do that, you got to keep it looking nice.
Tina Jensen was, I think, the first house that we visited on our tour just because of location. And we were also blown away. It had such a beautiful look, you know, front and side and back. So much personal effort in her colors and in her flowers that she did. They had blooms that were beautiful, and we just loved her enthusiasm.
I was very excited, and I told all my friends and all my neighbors that I had achieved the Beautification Award. So this is the front of my home. We purchased the home 8 years ago, and when we moved here there was no landscaping except for a couple of Bradford trees on the side of the house, and so we kind of had like an empty plan to work with, and so we decided that due to the architecture of the home, we wanted to really add to the character of the home. And so we started out with the center landscaping, and we've added like some Norway spruce trees to give a kind of unique effect, to draw attention due to the circle drive, to add to that. And we've added some limelight trees. We've added other trees that are some of my favorite, like the redbud trees, the dogwood trees that bloom in the spring, some roses, and just other plants that I've added along over the past 8 years. I enjoy the perennials over annuals, but I do add annuals to add more color. And with the perennials, I don't have to plant them every year, or I should say my husband has to plant them every year. And that way I can control what it's going to look like as far as height and color and when they bloom.
Well, we had a rather unique home, and we needed to do something to accentuate it. It needed something more than just grass here, so it needed something to make the house look a little bit better. And I think what we've done here is kind of help that along.
This is the side of my house here, and we added this a couple years ago. We wanted to have a unique look since our house has like all windows around the whole house. And so this is where we look out over breakfast to the landscaping that we've added. And it's been very challenging, I'll say, just to add what colors we wanted for privacy and a unique look. So I wanted special trees like the Concord color fir trees. Those are kind of like a Christmas tree, so they look pretty year-round. They add the green color in the winter. The arborvitaes, those are fast-growing trees. Then I've added some grasses and some limelight hydrangeas.
Well, it's something that you wouldn't expect in this area. What's really cool about it, we got a half an acre here. We get all kinds of wildlife, and you know, we're kind of it's that up north feeling, but at the same time, we're close to the city. So we've really kind of got it all here, and that's what Shelby Township has allowed us to have here. It's really cool.
In the backyard, the home has a wraparound porch, and so I wanted to do something different in the back of the house, and so I wanted like a tropical look. So we've added the hibiscus trees, the ferns, the palm trees, added some hostas, some rocks to add to the landscaping.
It's been an awful lot of fun working on this. It's taken a long time, but we've learned a lot along the way. I mean, there's sometimes we actually had to plant some things and they died. Sometimes the deer ate things, but you learn things as you go along, and you just you know, you recover and make it better from there.
I like to have a challenge. I like to experiment. I love flowers. I like being outside. I like using creativity to learn and enjoy it when I'm outside.
We're always looking for new members for our committee. It's an amazing group, and we invite you to try us out. We meet once a month on a Tuesday. You can contact the clerk's office and get the information, Shelby Township Clerk's Office. We hope we see you.